So I just recently picked up Mega Man 11. Now, I've only played a little bit of it so far, and from what I've played, I've enjoyed it. It's been frustrating, but then again, it wouldn't be a Mega Man game if it wasn't. But it got me thinking, I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about my history with Mega Man because it didn't really start off too positive. So with that being said, let's get right to it. So as a kid, I didn't actually own an NES myself. The first system I remember having was the Sega Genesis. Now that doesn't mean I didn't play the NES. My grandmother is actually the one who had it. So anytime I went over to her house, that's where me, my brother, and my cousins would play it. Now she didn't have a very large library of games. I think we had maybe 10. And Mega Man was not one of those games. So I think that might be why I never really quite got into the series. And on top of that, as a kid, I wasn't a huge fan of like really difficult games. Now, I say that and I contradict myself because I love Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But that was a game she had, so whenever I went over to her house, that was one I enjoyed playing and I enjoyed getting a little bit further. But for the most part, I didn't usually play really difficult games. I liked playing games that kind of helped me escape reality, kind of relax and have fun. And if it was too frustrating, I didn't have fun. And eventually I just rage quit and moved on. And I did that with Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but I kept coming back to it. But again, she had that game. Now, I remember borrowing Mega Man, and I'm 99% sure it was Mega Man 3. I remember borrowing it from a friend of mine, and you gotta remember, I was probably 8 to 12 years old at that time. Somewhere in there, I can't quite remember. But I remember I loved the idea of it, and I wanted to like it. But damn, it was just so damn difficult. And I just remember dying over and over again. And it was a different kind of game for me because I was so used to a more linear game where, you know, you start here, you finish this level, you move on to the next, blah, blah, blah. So getting to pick what level I wanted to start with first, I was like, this is different. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but it's kind of cool, you know? But I didn't know the whole point of the game was to figure out the boss weaknesses. And you gotta remember, at that time, there was no internet, so I couldn't just go online and easily figure out what to do. So I just remember dying over and over again, and I couldn't even get to a boss fight. It was just it was too much for me, to say the least. It was just too much. And I remember giving it back to my friend and didn't think much of it after that. Then, I remember a couple of years before I started collecting, I got Mega Man 9, I think it was, on the PlayStation Network. I believe it was free. I'm pretty sure it was free. And I was like, you know, let me check out Mega Man. You know, I'm older now. Maybe it's different. And, man, that game kicked my ass too. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's just not for me. Maybe Mega Man is not for me. But then, earlier this year, I went to the Louisville Arcade Expo in Louisville, Kentucky. And a guy there had Mega Man 2 for a pretty good price. And, you know, when I first started collecting, I wasn't too interested in games I didn't play as a kid. I was more interested in the games and the consoles I had when I was a kid and remember playing. Well, that didn't last too long. Now I have a huge collection. But I saw the game and I was like, I feel like I have to have at least one Mega Man game in my collection. I gotta have at least one. So I convinced myself to buy it. I brought it home and I was hooked. I absolutely just fell in love with it. Couldn't stop playing it and eventually beat it. And that was a huge milestone for me because I'm like, I never thought I could do this. Now, some of you out there might be like, seriously, it's taking you this long to do it? But you gotta remember, I didn't play this throughout my life. This is something I just recently fell back into. And yeah, Mega Man 2, man, I fell in love with it and I wanted more. I beat it and I wanted more and I was like, you know, I think there's like 5 other games on the NES for this. So I found a guy on eBay who was selling the entire NES collection for a pretty good price. Bought it, long story short, I beat them all. And loved every minute of it. And I still find myself going back and playing these now. So, what changed? What changed? What made me, I don't know, change my mind on this series? And the one thing is, I think starting off with Mega Man 2 was a huge, important factor in that, because it's kind of known for being the easier of the 6, and I would agree with that. But it's a good place to start because you just get a good sense of how the controls work and just the whole concept of the game. And I mean, that's what hooked me. That was it. So, not saying it's not challenging still. It is. But it's an easier, I think, step to, getting into that series. So, the things that I really enjoyed about it, for one, yes, NES is known for being, having very complicated games, but it's fair. Mega Man is a fair challenge because, you're rewarded for making progress. There's nothing more frustrating in a game when you start playing and you get somewhere and then you run out of continues, have to start all over again. There's no password system. There's no, cheat level select or something like that. And you're just like, there's no humanly possible way to progress. But Mega Man, you have unlimited continues. There's checkpoints. You can, there's a password system. I don't know if I just said that or not, but it's fair. And it makes you want to keep coming back and playing it. Now, with the exception of Mega Man 1, that one was actually the last game I played and beat. Well, not the last one I played, but the last one I beat because of the fact there is no password system. And it's hard for me to sit down and play something from beginning to end in one sitting. But it's just, that was it. It was fair. And I enjoyed the challenge because it was rewarding to progress through it, and you didn't feel punished because you died at this point and you've made it all this way, and now you're like, well, now I gotta start all over again. So it's a fair challenge, and that's what I feel like a lot of NES games don't necessarily have. They're just, Mega Man has great controls, as most people know, and the more you play, the better you get at it. And actually, I think that's what's actually the most fun about it. It's not so much, learning the game. It's after you've learned it and you go back and you just breeze through the level. It's still fun. There's still so much replayability. And yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I like I said, I still find myself playing these games. I think they're all great. I can't honestly sit here and pick a favorite. And I think a lot of that's because I played them all like back to back. So it's hard for me to really remember, who was in what. But yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely in love with Mega Man now. And the thing is, there's so many more for me to play. I've only played a little bit of the Mega Man X series. I've enjoyed what I've played, but I've been playing it on the Super Nintendo Classic, and I feel like I have to play it on the actual Super Nintendo, and I haven't bought it yet, so when I do, that'll be next on my list. But yeah, so far, I've really enjoyed it. I really have. I've only beaten 2 of the Robot Masters, Bounce Man and Fuse Man, I believe. And again, it's challenging, but it's rewarding. That's what it is. Yeah, I mean, I hope they keep releasing these because it's just like Super Mario Brothers. I mean, it's the same game over and over again, but people love it. People keep coming back. And it's just a great formula that you could just keep rehashing it. Like, I really don't care about the story. I mean, there's a story there. That's cool. It's a bonus, but I don't really care. Yeah, I mean, it's just classic Nintendo fun. And I really wish it wouldn't have taken me into my 30s to fall in love with this series, but it's never too late. So anyway, I thought it'd be fun just to take a second and kind of talk about my history with Mega Man, because it's been an interesting road, and now it's one of my all-time favorite series. And again, can't recommend this enough. I look forward to spending some more time with it, hopefully beating it soon. And I look forward to more Mega Man games in the future, so thanks for watching.